Okay. Uh, so yeah, I like right before being here doing this, I watched the first two episodes of Velma, the new animated show on HBO Max based off of the Scooby Doo property. Um, I, it's not something I would have watched without feeling like it would be good content to watch it and talk about it. So just know I really only watched it for the reason of making content out of talking about it. But I figured I was a good person to watch it because it's been getting a lot of hate for good and bad reasons. As happens with things like this show. The bad reasons, we always start with bad because it's better to go from good or bad to good. The bad reason would be just people are, classic, like, people upset about diversity shit. It's some of the lamest, stuff to get upset over, to be honest. I mean, sometimes shows like this can, get a little cringy about it, but like the diversity in itself, more representation is not a thing to get upset over. It's pretty lame that people do that. The good reason people might be hating on this show is that I watched that trailer and it looked super not funny. But seeing as, I thought that one of my favorite movies to come out in 2022 was Babylon. I thought that was marketed horribly. If I didn't know it was directed by Damien Chazelle and the people involved were the ones who were involved with it, I wouldn't have been sold by the trailers. So I'm like, okay, you know what? There can be bad trailers to good shit. So I want to give a little bit of background on myself and my tastes before digging into this show. The first thing is I don't watch a whole lot of adult cartoons. Like I'm not a fan of Family Guy. I don't like Family Guy or American Dad or anything really Seth MacFarlane. Not a big fan of his humor. Simpsons I've barely watched. I would probably like it more than Family Guy. I've seen like YouTubers make videos about The Simpsons, and so like I can learn to appreciate it through there, but it's just nothing I've ever watched. South Park, I have a soft spot in my heart for. I used to watch a lot of South Park, and now it's kind of a nostalgia thing. I don't know if it's something I would be into now if I were like just being introduced to it, but like when I was younger, I watched the movie Bigger, Longer, and South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, a lot, and I thought it was very funny. I know a lot of the songs. What would Brian Boitano do if he were here right now? I'm sure he'd kick an ass or two. That's what Brian Boitano do, and I like that shit. So I like the South Park movie. Rick and Morty, I was really into for the first like 2 or 3 seasons. Not that I dislike it now. I haven't caught up with it. I'm pretty bad about keeping up with television. So this like, comedic adult animation is, it's whatever to me. Most of the shows are kind of whatever. If I had to say like shit I'm actually into, it would be like old like MTV type shit. Like there's a show called Downtown that's pretty good, and then I think there's another one called Mission Hill. That was or is it Mission Hill or Mission Hilltop? Wait, give me a sec. Mission Hill. Okay, yeah, it's a TV series, and that was on Adult Swim. Okay, so I could be into like some of that stuff, but the super trying to be funny adult a lot of times it just feels like they're like really trying hard, and it's a lot of just stupid shit, And I even like stupid humor. Like I like I said, I love Babylon. That's got like a bunch of shit jokes and it's like raunchy and dumb. And I love like Step Brothers and Will Ferrell, and I can get into all that stuff. But just the adult animation, for whatever reason, just never hit it with me, except for maybe South Park and a little bit of Rick and Morty. So I'm coming at it through that. And then with Scooby-Doo, I have a very weird relationship with Scooby-Doo, in that I'm pretty sure Scooby-Doo was responsible for a lot of it's a lot of early sexual memories for me. I'm sure this is not where you're expecting this to go, but I'm pretty sure the first time you're gonna learn a lot about me. You can skip this part in the video if you want. The first time I ever saw anything sexual ever, like any pornographic anything, I was oh man, I'm trying to remember how old I was. I was maybe like 6 or 7. And my little brother, I lived with my little brother and then my older brother. My little brother Luke came down while I was like eating cereal in the morning. I think it was like a weekend, and we were at my mom's house. And he came down to get me, and he was like, Elijah. I was like, what? He goes, I found something. I was like, oh, whoa, what? He goes, it's in Sean's room, my older brother. And so we went upstairs, and Sean had all these boxes. And we opened up, one of the boxes, and Luke pulled out a calendar. And on this calendar, we opened it up, and almost every image in the calendar was a cartoon that was, some sort of like kids cartoon or something, but it was like a porn version. And the first one we saw was just the whole Scooby-Doo gang. They were all fucking each other. And, unlike Velma, Scooby was there in this one. They didn't exclude him. And so that was the first time I'd ever really seen anything like that. It was something, and I was already familiar with Scooby-Doo, so it was me seeing the Scooby-Doo gang, something I was familiar with in my childhood, and they were all naked and fucking. And so, that was a formative memory for me. And beyond that, if you guys ever saw the Scooby-Doo movies, the live-action ones that came out in the early 2000s, I watched those a lot, also with my little brother as a kid. And those were kind of horny movies. I specifically remember in the first one where they all switched bodies. That kind of gave me like this weird thing I was into as a kid, where I was like really into the ideas of like switching bodies with people. It was just something that, it's going to sound weird, but like as a kid, it kind of like just, I could talk about myself as a kid like this. It kind of turned me on. I liked it. I was like, oh, I want to switch bodies with everybody, Oh my God, you're learning so much about me. I shouldn't be talking like this. Anyways, yeah, so there was that where like, Fred took over like Daphne's body in the first one. He's like, I'm gonna look at myself naked, whatever. And then another weird sexual memory was in Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. This is all preamble to Velma. Another weird sexual Scooby-Doo memory was in Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, where Shaggy and Scooby are trying out all the potions. And there's one that gives Shaggy like giant honkers, like ginormous boobies, and he starts looking at him and he's like, whoa, like I've got big boobs. And it's I remember that, and I remember kind of like, I think I might have paused. I didn't do anything, but I just paused that. I looked at it for a while. Shaggy with his big boobs. Anyways, hopefully that details my experience with the Scooby-Doo property prior to this Velma viewing experience. So, you're welcome. So to see that they were doing an adult version of the Scooby-Doo cartoon, um, it had me interested. I've certainly been here before. Um, but yeah, so like I said, it's not really something I would watch if I hadn't decided to like talk about it on stream. But I figured I was specially equipped due to my prior experience, and then also I feel like I can be really fair to shit. Like, people get pissed about the dumbest things all the time. Like, I thought people went way too hard on that live action Cowboy Bebop thing. And then like people go too hard on so much stupid shit. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I hate like fans of anything. If you're a fan of something, I think you're so annoying. And I say this as a fan of a lot of stuff. I'm a fan of a lot of things, and I think I'm really annoying. So I think you're even more annoying. If you're a fan of something. If you're not, you're good. But yeah, if you're a fan of like anything, I think you're just bad. So I can't remember where I was going with this. Yeah, okay. So I figured I could be fair because I'm not like super invested in like tearing the show down or loving it. Like, I don't really give a fuck about the diversity shit one way or another. I mean, I think like if you were to get my barest bones feelings about it, like I think it's cool that we're getting more diversity in stories, but like if it were just the original mystery gang as they have always been, which is all white, I wouldn't have really given a fuck. It's okay. We have other shit, you know? And, and I don't really give a fuck this way either. It's whatever. Velma can be Mindy Kaling, Daphne can be Constance Wu. But yeah, okay, so let's get into the actual, like, show. So I'll start with things I like, because, yeah, I figure that's a good way to start. Things I like. I think the animation style is pretty appealing. I like the character designs. I think it's just very good looking animation. And, especially in like Velma's hallucination sequences, I think those are like, even though I think the hallucination sequences are kind of like annoying in the story, I think the animation in them is pretty cool. I like all the, the ghosts and stuff crawling all over her and, all that stuff. So, yeah, it leads to some pretty cool designs or whatever. I like the design of Velma and Daphne and, all the major characters. They're pretty cool. The voice acting is okay, in my opinion. I think Mindy Kaling does a good job as Velma. And then Constance Wu as Daphne. I thought they were both great. Mindy Kaling, I have a crush on her. I think she's super cute. I never watched the Mindy Project, but I liked her in The Office, obviously. And then Constance Wu, I think the only thing I've seen her in was Hustlers. And I like that movie. She was really good in that movie. So that was her, right? Am I going to be let's see, Constance Wu. Okay, she was in Crazy Rich Asians. Never saw that. Hustlers. Yes, okay. There we go. Not in trouble. Yeah, okay. So she was pretty good in Hustlers. And then Glenn Howerton is Fred, which his voice acting, his voice for the role is interesting. As like the character of Fred, it's not great, but like if you were to compare it to the original Fred, but like this version of Fred, it works. He's fine. Because like this version's supposed to be annoying anyways, and Glenn Howerton's doing like a really annoying voice, so you're like, all right, whatever. And then the Shaggy character isn't Shaggy. It's a guy named Norval. Sam Richardson plays him, and I love Sam Richardson. Actually, I think he's like so funny. He's in that I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. Um, he shows up in some sketches in that show, and I always love it when he shows up. I think he's hilarious. And then he was in this one movie like a year or two ago called Werewolves Within. I think it was what it's called. Let me make sure about that. Werewolves Within. Yes. The movie was okay. It's fun for what it is. It's like a comedy horror film. If you're ever in the mood for like something light comedy horror, it stars him and then the very attractive AT&T girl. That's how I know them. But it's fun. It's a fun movie. He was pretty good in it. But yeah. So I like Sam Richardson. He voices Norval or Shaggy basically, and the whole joke behind his character is that like he hates drugs and like he's like pretty straight edge, which I think since they don't have Scooby there, which I think is a mistake. I think that they should absolutely have Scooby-Doo in the show. Like he doesn't have to talk, but I think just like having a dog around would be nice. I don't know why we had to get rid of the dog, but whatever. If I think him having like a dog, like a talking dog where they eat together, like really added to the stoner vibe. So like if we were to make an adult version of like Scooby-Doo, I think like Shaggy being like a stoner with his dog and the dog getting high shit too. That works, but if you're gonna take his dog away, I mean it's kind of like like for me it's like, all right, like I guess you could take away the stoner aspect too. He's just not the same character. Like in my head Shaggy needs Scooby, so him just being Norval in the same clothes, and he has like a snack reviewing channel in the show, it works. It's like he's just not the same character, so I mean it doesn't matter. But yeah, so the voice acting is pretty okay. The animation's pretty good. I like the animation style. And I'm trying to think what else. So out of the first 2 episodes, probably got 6 or 7 chuckles out of me between the two. I think the first one got more. The first one got more in like the latter half. It was like the last like 10 minutes of the first episode got the highest percentage of chuckles. Because it started off, I was like, fuck, I'm not going to lie. Like, this isn't going to be funny at all. And then we got a little bit further into the first episode. I'm like, okay, there's a couple like cute little jokes in here. None of them gut busters. None of them like, I didn't like, any of them. But like, just a couple of like, or like, and then second episode was pretty sparse actually. So a handful, I guess you could call that, of chuckles between the 2 episodes. So I guess I can talk about shit I don't like, which is what people are mostly talking about. But I want to talk about it in a really productive, healthy way, because it's kind of lame to just shit on stuff. I don't know. So I don't like this brand of humor. It's very much like I said I don't like Family Guy, and to me it's the same shit. It's like Velma is like Family Guy but with Scooby-Doo. It's like a lot of it's like reference humor and like it's like commentary on like TV show tropes or like movie tropes or like really lame like jokes about like I don't know, like just I don't like the like the diversity jokes essentially, which like I'm cool. Like, you know what? Fuck. Like, I love Atlanta. Atlanta's such a great show on like commenting on like black culture, and they have like a lot of really interesting, cool race shit in there too. Like, it's hilarious and it's like insightful and it's very thought provoking. But like, Velma has that like really lazy version of it where it's like I don't know, just fucking lazy jokes where it's like what's the one thing, okay, this isn't racial, but like it's like the they've got the lesbian cops. It's like, usually in cop shows the lesbians are good at solving mysteries, but you guys suck or something like that. It's like, dude, this is so fucking like lazy, you know? It's just it's lame. I don't know. And it's like so like, you know, kind of nudging you like, oh, you know, we're making fun of a thing. We're doing a whole bit here on like culture or whatever. And like or you know, when there's somebody who's like, you know, he looks like Hitler, and I'm not just saying that because we compare everybody to Hitler. It's like, fuck, dude, like we don't need everything to comment on like culture. We don't need fucking Scooby-Doo to do that. um it's okay to make a show like this. It's just so, it's done so poorly. And I guess I'm bummed about this doing, and here's where I'm trying to be maybe constructive. um I'm bummed about this show doing it because like I don't, when I watch, like if I were to watch like Family Guy, which like I said I don't like, I don't care about the characters of Family Guy. Like Peter Griffin isn't a character I give a fuck about. Peter Griffin is a conduit for Seth MacFarlane jokes. You know, so is Lois and the other characters. I forget Meg. They're just conduits for jokes. But Scooby Doo, these characters, they're well known characters. They have you know, like decades and decades of like material to build off of. And you know, the best comedy of this show, like the parts where you laugh are there's a couple like little jokes here and there where it's like there was one where you know, she picks up a camera and then her dad comes over. He's like, she likes taking pictures of babies as vegetables. I was like, okay, I don't know, it's stupid, but it's funny. Or like when Daphne's confronting Velma in the bathroom and the girl comes out, she like washes her hands, dries her fucking thing, and then like gets in the group with the girls. I'm like, okay, that's cute. But then the other stuff that I really like was like character moments that are like commenting on like the characters. So like the stuff I thought was like most funny was like the reveal that like, and I guess spoilers, but like the reveal that like Fred is a late bloomer, and like he, you know, he's hairless and he's, you know, whatever. And it's like, I don't know, it's like a fun way to like subvert Fred, if you know, we're doing it here anyways, right? So I, you know, I thought that was like kind of funny. And then you know, I think if the show more leaned into the character and the lore, or the characters of, you know, this world and the lore, and then kind of centered the humor around that, like, and again, maybe this is just a taste thing, I don't know, plenty of people like this kind of humor, but like, you know, a lot of my favorite shows, you know, Arrested Development, comedy shows, Arrested Development, you know, stuff like that. Oh, there was another one I was thinking of before. I can't remember now. But like, okay, let's take Arrested Development for example. Or you know what? Oh, something I thought about while I was watching Velma was like, do you ever watch Cartoon Network and that the show 16? I loved 16. 16, starting to find my way. Got a new job, gonna start at the mall today. That one. So like I mean, it was made for kids, but like I'm pretty sure the same creators have uploaded like some episodes online that are like more adult centric. But like that show is great because like so much of the humor was like based on the characters and their personalities. And that's like a like it's kind of a similar show in that, like, you know, it follows a group of teenagers and they're all like well-defined characters, and you know, every, you know, episode they're dealing with like teenager problems and stuff. I honestly think that maybe if Velma like had like structured itself around like maybe a more adult version of like 16, I think that would have actually worked really, really well. Actually, you know what, let the people who did 16 do the Velma show, but you can just keep the voice actors of the Velma show. Just let the 16 people do it, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like they wrote well-defined characters, and the comedy of the show came from the characters. Same thing with like something like Arrested Development, where it's like the quirkiness of the characters, and there were a lot of like recurring jokes. I don't know, just this kind of lame like reference humor. I know it's what's big right now, you know, there's got shit like Free Guy and stuff out there, but like it's just, it feels so lame and lazy. It's like all we got to do is like, you know, put in references to stuff or like make it sound like we're doing some sort of commentary or critique on something. Like the beginning, the first scene of Velma is like they're all naked in the shower and they're talking about like nudity in like early episodes of TV shows, which is like, I don't know. I don't, maybe it's different for you guys. I've heard that before where it's like, oh yeah, you know, it's Game of Thrones and shit, you know, the nudity is like super heavy in the beginning and then it goes on later on. But like it's like trying to be edgy by like showing all of them naked, but they're not naked. Like they're like still being, I don't know. It's like it wants to be raunchy, but it's not even like really doing that. Like the gore is like there's no brain in a head, but it's just like a hollow head with like a little bit of blood in it. It's like, I don't know, this doesn't feel that edgy. Like it doesn't feel like it's on, you know, the cutting edge of anything. The commentary is pretty stale. The, you know, the references are not my thing. And then the, you know, the raunchiness is weak. It's so weak. Like it's so like if you're trying to turn people off, if you're trying to like, you know, cross the line, you know, do that thing that comedians do, like fucking do it. Like I don't know, something that's like really funny to me is like when people think that they're like being so subversive and then like they're not really doing anything, they're just adding to the status quo, right? And like, I mean, this show is like super corporate. It's like, you know, we're taking a property, we're going to give it like a whole makeover, and then, you know, we're going to sell it back to people. And it's going to have all these like, you know, these voice actors that you know and love. And like, you know, whatever, man. I understand. I know how you know, how it all works. The whole thing just feels so lame. And like, yeah, I don't know. Okay, trying to be more, dude, that wasn't like, all right. So if I were to give constructive feedback to the show, not that anybody would ever listen to me, but if they were to ever listen to somebody who, you know, feels like it could be better, anything can be improved on, anything can be worked on. This show has the bones for something cool. Yeah, like, I don't know, just less of like the lame reference shit and like make something where it feels like you actually give a shit about the characters. And I'm not even talking about the characters in the original Scooby-Doo. I don't need you to give a fuck about Scooby-Doo. I want you to give a fuck about the characters in this show. I want to feel like you care about this Velma. I want it to feel like you care about this Velma, this Daphne, this Fred, this Norval. And like, I don't know, but as it is right now, they just all seem like kind of like the Family Guy shit, where it's like they're just conduits for jokes, and they're not. It's something I really respect, like Rick and Morty for, is like Rick and Morty is a comedy show. The whole purpose is to make you laugh, but the characters in the show are super well defined. They're great characters. And it feels like the writers give a fuck about the characters. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe like, I don't know. Maybe Velma wants to be Family Guy. But I don't know. And maybe people are into that. It doesn't really seem like it, but I can't tell if like, because obviously people who are like super against like this diversity shit are against the show. And like I said, I have no problem with that. I liked 2016 Ghostbusters. I thought it was pretty okay. I didn't love it, but I liked it. It was kind of funny in a lot of parts. And love Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones. Great. Just to show you my like diversity is okay card, you know? But or like remixing, you know, old properties or whatever, right? So I guess I'm struggling. I wonder if like this show's intended audience like it. Like, is this like, are the people who watch Family Guy and like stuff like that, do they like this show? And if so, then I guess they're doing a great job. But if not, I don't know. I feel like those are ways you can improve on it. So, um, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to fill it because I had such a bad time watching it, and I was really hoping I would like it. I was hoping that, people were just going too hard on it, and that, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to like this show. Like, I was going in being like, I want to like this show because I kind of want to make people upset with me. But I'm like, yeah, man, not make people upset with me, but I there are times where I like being contrarian, and but man, just watching the show, it's hard to be contrarian. People are a little bit right, um, but hopefully they can make it better. Hopefully they can make it into like a really special show where it feels like they care about the characters and it's not just some Warner property being shit out by people who clearly just don't give a fuck. They're just there to earn a paycheck. Um, you know, Whatever. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Velma. Thank you.